Whispers in the frost. The ice groaned beneath Europa Station 7, a sound Tarek Mercer had grown accustomed to during his 3 years of self-imposed exile. The research outpost, perched on the Jovian moon's frozen crust, housed only him now, the sole volunteer who hadn't rotated back to Earth when funding was cut. Atmospheric pressure dropping again, he muttered to himself, adjusting the environmental controls. His breath fogged in the chill of the observation dome as he calibrated the massive telescope. The stars were particularly bright tonight, Jupiter's massive form casting a burnt orange glow across the endless ice fields. Tarek preferred it this way, just him and the stars. After what happened at the Mars Colonial Authority, isolation felt like mercy. Better to be the eccentric astronomer who charted distant nebulae than the disgraced scientist who claimed to hear messages in cosmic radiation. He tapped his temple where the neural implant sat, dormant now. The device that had once amplified, his ability to interpret stellar data had been deemed experimental, dangerous, especially after he'd started having the dreams. The communications panel blinked. Unusual. Monthly supply drops weren't scheduled for another 2 weeks. Station 7, this is transport vessel Helios. Requesting emergency landing clearance, experiencing critical system failure. Tarek hesitated. Station 7 wasn't equipped for emergency landings, especially not on Europa's treacherous surface. Helios, this is Station 7. You're better off attempting Jupiter's orbital platform. I don't have... No time, the voice crackled, feminine, with an accent he couldn't place. Containment breach. Atmospheric entry in 3 minutes. Before Tarek could respond, the night sky blazed. Something was burning through Europa's thin atmosphere, leaving a trail of blue-violet fire unlike any ship engine he'd ever seen. The impact came 7 kilometers out, beyond the southern ridge. Not a standard transport vessel. This was smaller, sleeker, almost organic in design as it carved a trench through the ice. Protocol dictated he alert Earth Command, but Tarek found himself pulling on his thermal suit instead. Something about the vessel's trajectory seemed deliberate, like it had been aiming for his station specifically. The trek across the ice was treacherous. Wind howled around him, carrying microscopic ice crystals that abraded his suit's exterior. His headlamp illuminated the crash site, a gash in Europa's surface where something silver and iridescent had half buried itself. It wasn't a human vessel. The hull's material reminded him of mother of pearl, organic yet metallic, with symbols etched into its surface that seemed to shift when he wasn't looking directly at them. A section of the ship slid open as he approached, releasing a cloud of vapor that wasn't quite steam and wasn't quite smoke. From within emerged a figure that made Tarek's heart seize in his chest. She was humanoid but unmistakably alien, tall and graceful with skin the color of twilight, a deep indigo with subtle patterns that seemed to pulse beneath the surface. Her eyes, wide and luminous, contained pinpricks of light like captured stars. She wore a garment of fluid silver that moved like mercury around her form. But it was her expression that froze him in place. Recognition. She looked at him as if she'd found something long lost. Tarek Mercer, she said, his name in her mouth sounding both foreign and familiar. The patterns hold true even across the void. How do you know my name? He managed, suddenly aware of the silence around them. The entirety of Europa seemed to be holding its breath. She approached, each step leaving momentary phosphorescent footprints in the ice. I am Neela, last keeper of the harmonic concordance. Her hand, four-fingered with an iridescent sheen, reached toward his temple where the neural implant sat beneath his skin. You've been hearing it, haven't you? The resonance that others called madness. Tarek stepped back. I don't know what you're talking about. The dreams, astronomer. The voices in the radiation. The patterns you've been mapping that your instruments cannot explain. Her eyes searched his. You've been hearing our song, the one we composed together, in another turn of the spiral. His implant warmed against his skull, and suddenly the dreams came rushing back. Dreams of stars arranged in impossible configurations, of music that could only be heard in the space between thoughts, of hands not quite human intertwined with his own. "This is impossible," he whispered. "You can't be real." Neela's expression softened. "The Directorate found you too quickly in the last cycle. They severed our connection before the resonance could fully form. But they couldn't erase everything." She glanced skyward. "And they will come again. We have very little time." In the distance, the aurora borealis of Europa shimmered. But something about its pattern seemed wrong. Too structured, too deliberate. "They're already here," Neela said. "We must reach the subterranean chamber. Your implant is the key. It always has been." Tarek touched his temple again, feeling the device pulse in time with his racing heart. "What happens if I trust you?" Neela's starlit eyes fixed on his. "Then perhaps this time we finish the song." Fragments of stardust. The descent into Europa's subsurface chambers felt like entering another world. Tarek led Neela through the narrow maintenance tunnels beneath Station 7, where the temperature rose incrementally as they approached the moon's hidden ocean. The walls glistened with ice crystals that seemed to respond to Neela's presence, illuminating with subtle bioluminescence whenever she passed. "Your research station," Neela observed, tracing a finger along the curved wall. "It wasn't built for astronomy alone." Tarek paused. "What do you mean?" "The configuration, the location." She gestured to the unusual concentric patterns in the ice tunnel. "Your people didn't select this site by chance. They were drawn here by the resonance just as you were." The realization struck Tarek with uncomfortable clarity. His assignment to Station 7 had come after his incident at the Mars facility. A convenient exile, or so he'd thought. But what if they'd sent him here for a reason? "Through here," he said, diverting the conversation as he accessed a heavily insulated door. Beyond lay his private quarters, sparse but homey, with star charts covering the walls and an old vinyl record player in the corner, an anachronism he'd insisted on bringing to the edge of the solar system. Neela moved immediately to the charts, her fingertips hovering over the celestial mappings. "You've been tracking the harmonic convergence points." "I've been mapping stellar anomalies," Tarek corrected, though without conviction. The patterns he'd been obsessively documenting for months, stars that seemed to pulse in synchronized rhythm, radiation signatures that formed impossible mathematical sequences, had been dismissed by Earth Command as equipment malfunctions. "May I?" Neela asked, gesturing to his neural implant console. After a moment's hesitation, Tarek nodded. She placed her hand on the device, and it illuminated with colors he'd never seen it display before. The neural implant in his temple heated, not painfully but with an intensity that made him gasp. Suddenly the room was filled with light, holographic projections erupting from the console, but unlike any program he'd installed. Three-dimensional star maps unfurled around them, with intricate lines connecting certain celestial bodies in patterns that resembled music notation. "The harmonic concordance," Neela whispered. "You've been collecting the fragments without even knowing." Within the projection, a particular star cluster pulsed brighter than the others, 7 stars arranged in a pattern that triggered something in Tarek's memory. He'd dreamed of this formation countless times. "The sevenfold crown," he murmured, the name coming to him unbidden. Neela's eyes widened. "You remember?" "No, But even as he denied it, images flooded his mind. A crystalline observatory suspended between worlds, his hands intertwined with 4-fingered ones as they manipulated stellar energies, creating harmonies that rippled across galaxies. "The Directorate called it the sevenfold crown," Neela explained, her voice softening. "But to us it was Anahata, the nexus of synchronized hearts." She approached him slowly. "We were resonance partners, Tarek. 2 beings attuned to the cosmic frequencies that bind reality together." "That's impossible," he said, but his conviction was faltering. "I would remember something like that." "Would you?" Neela gestured to his implant. "This technology, crude as it is, approximates what you once possessed naturally, before they took it from you." Outside, the station's sensors began to wail. Something had entered Europa's atmosphere. Tarek moved to the monitoring station, his hands shaking as he pulled up the external feeds. Three sleek vessels similar to Neela's but larger and adorned with angular aggressive geometries descended toward the surface. "The Directorate's harmonic enforcers," Neela said grimly. "They've found us sooner than I anticipated." "Who are they? What do they want?" "The same thing they've always wanted. Control of the universe's fundamental frequencies." Neela's expression darkened. When two beings achieve true harmonic resonance, they can manipulate reality itself. The Directorate fears this power in any hands but their own. Tarek's implant pulsed again, this time sending a shooting pain through his skull. He stumbled, catching himself against the wall as vivid images assaulted him. A ceremony in a chamber, of crystal and light. Neela's face close to his as they shared breath. A promise spoken in a language his human vocal cords could never reproduce. When the vision cleared, he found Neela supporting him, her touch sending electric currents through his skin. "That wasn't just a dream, was it?" he whispered. "No," she confirmed. "A memory. Your true memories are returning, faster than is safe. The implant is accelerating the process." The station trembled as something impacted the surface nearby. The enforcers had landed. "We need to leave," Neela urged. "There's a vessel concealed beneath the ice shelf to the north. It's how I intended to take us to the Nexus after finding you." "I can't just abandon the station," Tarek protested. "My research, my data, is nothing compared to what we once knew together." Neela placed her hand on his chest, directly over his heart. "The data you truly need is here, encrypted in your very cells." Another impact. Closer this time. The lights flickered. "Station security breach," announced the automated system. "Unknown entities detected in the northern corridor." Tarek made his decision. He grabbed a small data crystal containing his most important findings and a portable power cell. "There's a maintenance exit through the thermal regulation system. We can reach the surface 2 kilometers from here." As they prepared to leave, Tarek's gaze fell on his star charts one last time. The patterns he'd been obsessively mapping now seemed like primitive sketches compared to the cosmic symphony playing in his returning memories. "Tarek," Neela said softly, drawing his attention back. "When we reach the Nexus, you'll have to make a choice to remember everything and become what you once were, or to remain as you are now." "And what was I?" he asked, afraid of the answer. Neela's star-filled eyes met his. "My other half. The complementary frequency that, together with mine, could write the music of creation itself." The station shuddered again, and the sounds of mechanical whirring filled the corridors outside, the enforcers' approaching presence. "Let's go," Tarek said, pushing aside his fear and doubt. Whatever truth awaited him beyond the ice and stars, he knew with sudden certainty that he'd been searching for it his entire life. Together, they slipped into the thermal duct as the first of the harmonic enforcers breached his quarters. Tall, angular beings encased in resonance-dampening armor, their movements precise and predatory. What they sought wasn't just Neela or even Tarek himself, but the symphony their union might once again create, a harmony powerful enough to reshape the very fabric of reality. The Constellation Bridge. The European snowstorm raged around them, ice crystals slashing like microscopic blades against their thermal suits. Tarek had modified one of his spare suits for Neela, though her alien physiology seemed better adapted to the extreme cold than his human body. They trudged across the frozen wasteland, the twin shadows of Jupiter and Io stretching across the horizon. "How much farther?" Tarek shouted over the howling wind, his implant throbbing with increasing intensity. Each pulse brought new fragments, memories, of star songs and intertwined consciousness that felt both foreign and intimately familiar. "Just beyond the ridge," Neela replied, her voice somehow carrying clearly despite the storm. "The vessel responds only to my biorhythms. The Directorate cannot access it." They crested the rise, and Tarek gasped. Half buried in the ice lay a craft unlike any he'd seen before. Smaller than Neela's crashed ship, but with the same organic metallic composition. It resembled a massive seed pod, its surface rippling with subtle iridescence. "Quickly," Neela urged as they approached. The enforcers will have calculated our trajectory by now. She placed her palm against the vessel's hull, and it responded immediately, unfurling like a blooming flower to reveal a cockpit barely large enough for two. As they settled inside, Tarek noticed there were no visible controls, only contoured surfaces that seemed designed for direct neural interface. The navigation is harmonic, Neela explained, placing her hands on two indented panels. It responds to thought patterns aligned with specific frequencies. The vessel hummed to life, vibrating at a pitch that made Tarek's teeth ache and his implant warm. Through the translucent hull, he watched Europa's surface fall away as they ascended into space at impossible speed. "Where are we going?" he asked, trying to ignore the dizzying sensation of memories continuing to surface, snippets of a life he couldn't reconcile with his human existence. "The Nexus," Neela answered, her concentration focused on piloting, or what remains of it. After the Directorate's purge, only ruins survive, hidden in the shadow of what your people call the Horsehead Nebula. Tarek blinked in confusion. "That's over 1,500 light-years away. We can't possibly—" His words died as space around their vessel seemed to fold. Stars streaked and blurred, and a sensation like being turned inside out washed over him. When reality stabilized, the familiar constellations of Earth's night sky had vanished, replaced by an alien stellar landscape dominated by the massive dark silhouette of the Horsehead Nebula. "Harmonic translation," Neela said, noting his shock. "We don't move through space, we align our frequencies with our destination and allow resonance to bring them together." The journey had taken seconds, not the centuries it should have required. Tarek's scientific mind reeled at the implications, while his implant burned with recognition of a principle he had once understood intimately. Ahead, floating in the nebula's shadow, a structure materialized, a vast crystalline observatory, partially shattered but still breathtaking in its complexity. It resembled a massive geode turned inside out, with countless faceted surfaces capturing and refracting starlight in precise, meaningful patterns. "The Grand Harmonic Observatory," Neela whispered, reverence in her voice, "where we first discovered the unified frequency." Their vessel docked at what appeared to be one of the few intact entrances. As they disembarked, Tarek felt a profound sense of homecoming that contradicted everything he knew about himself. The interior was a cathedral of crystal and light, damaged but still functional. Constellations were projected throughout the vast chamber, but unlike the static star maps Tarek was familiar with, these pulsed and shifted in complex rhythms. In the center stood a platform surrounded by 7 crystalline pillars, the physical manifestation of the sevenfold crown. "This is where it happened," Neela said, approaching the platform, "where we discovered that our complementary frequencies, when aligned, could access the fundamental vibrations of reality itself." Tarek followed her, his implant now resonating so intensely that his vision blurred. "What exactly did we discover?" "That the universe isn't governed by immutable physical laws," Neela explained, activating controls that brought the central platform to life. "It's responsive to intention, but only when expressed through perfect harmonic resonance. 2 complementary consciousnesses, attuned as one." The platform illuminated, projecting a 3-dimensional model of what appeared to be parallel universes, vibrating at different frequencies. "The Directorate had sought this knowledge for millennia," she continued. "They believed themselves the rightful shepherds of reality's song. When they discovered that an alien, me, and a human, you, had achieved what their most elite resonance pairs could not," her voice faltered, "they decided it was too dangerous to allow." Tarek approached one of the crystalline pillars, drawn by an inexplicable familiarity. When his fingers touched its surface, the entire observatory responded, humming at a frequency that matched his heartbeat. "It remembers you," Neela said softly. Before Tarek could respond, a distant alarm echoed through the chamber. Neela's expression hardened. "They've traced our harmonic signature." She rushed to a control panel, her movements urgent but precise. "We have little time. The memory restoration must be completed now, or all is lost." "What does that entail?" Tarek asked, fear and anticipation warring within him. Your human form cannot contain your complete consciousness. That's why they fragmented your memories and bound you to this limited biology. Neela's starlit eyes met his. The process will be painful, but I can help you remember everything. Who you were, who we were together. Outside, the faint outline of Directorate vessels appeared against the nebula. And if I remember, Tarek said, his voice barely audible, will I still be me? Neela's expression softened. You will be more than you are now, but yes, the essence of who you are remains the same across all frequencies of existence. She gestured to the central platform. Stand there. When the 7 pillars align, place your hands on the resonance nodes. Your implant will serve as a conduit for your complete consciousness to return. Tarek hesitated, then stepped onto the platform. As the pillars began to rotate around him, each emitting a tone that harmonized with the others, he felt his implant growing hotter, threatening to burn through his skull. Neela, he called out, suddenly afraid. What was our star? You said we had a star. She looked up from the controls, her expression a mixture of love and sorrow. Not a celestial body, Tarek. The star was us, the perfect resonance point where 2 beings become a singular harmonic expression, a star born of consciousness rather than hydrogen and helium. The pillars aligned, and Tarek placed his trembling hands on the nodes. Instantly, his mind exploded with light and sound, centuries of memories cascading through his consciousness. He saw himself as he had been, Valen, harmonic theorist of the 7th Order, who had encountered a curious human scientist during a forbidden exploration of Earth's early space installations. He remembered their discovery, that a human mind, and a harmonic mind, when perfectly aligned, created a resonance pattern that could access the underlying code of reality itself. He remembered their love, transcending species and physics. And he remembered the Directorate's fear, their attack, the desperate plan to preserve their discovery by hiding it within the very fabric of their beings. As the final memories slotted into place, Tarek, now both Tarek and Valen simultaneously, cried out as energy surged through his human form. His body glowed from within, temporarily transcending its physical limitations as his complete consciousness reasserted itself. The observatory trembled as Directorate ships began their attack, energy weapons striking the already damaged structure. They're trying to collapse the harmonic field before your transformation completes, Neela shouted, working frantically at the controls to maintain the observatory's integrity. Through pain and revelation, Tarek held on, allowing the final fragments of his true self to return. As the process reached its crescendo, he understood at last the full magnitude of what he and Neela had discovered, and why the Directorate would stop at nothing to control it. In that moment of perfect clarity, as his dual nature balanced on the edge of complete integration, the observatory's main crystal shattered under the Directorate's assault. The harmonic field collapsed, and Tarek fell to his knees, caught between 2 identities, between human limitation and cosmic awareness. Neela rushed to his side as sections of the observatory began to break apart around them. We must reach the vessel. The process is incomplete, but enough has been restored. As they ran through the collapsing structure, Tarek felt the universe differently now, as patterns of vibration and potential, infinitely malleable to those who understood its harmonic nature. Not fully remembered, but no longer entirely forgotten. Even incomplete, Neela said as they reached their vessel, we might still access enough of the resonance to reach the final sanctuary. Where? Tarek asked, his voice carrying new harmonics that his human vocal cords shouldn't have been capable of producing. Neela's eyes gleamed with determination as the vessel sealed around them. To the heart of what you once called the Pleiades, where our star was born and where it might be rekindled once more. Resonance of 2 worlds, their vessel tumbled through harmonic space, damaged by the Directorate's attack on the observatory. Inside, Tarek gripped the resonance nodes, his consciousness flickering between his human identity and his recovered memories, as Valan. Each transition sent waves of pain through his body, a human form never meant to contain such awareness. The translation field is destabilizing, Neela warned, her hands dancing across the controls. Your partial restoration is creating interference patterns. Tarek nodded, understanding both the physics and metaphysics of their situation with newfound clarity. My frequencies are unbalanced, human and harmonic in constant flux. The vessel shuddered as it dropped out of translation, emerging in the outer reaches of the Pleiades cluster. Before them hung a breathtaking stellar formation, 7 bright stars surrounded by luminous blue nebulosity. The sanctuary of sevenfold. Harmony, Neela breathed, the only place where the Directorate dares not follow. Because of the Guardian? Tarek asked, the knowledge surfacing from his restored memories. Yes. Sentinel Dozan maintains this space as neutral territory. Even, the Directorate respects the ancient accords. Their damaged vessel limped toward a structure unlike any other. Neither ship nor station but something between, composed of interlocking crystal lattices that shifted and rearranged continuously. As they approached, a communication rippled through the vessel's hull, more sensation than sound. Identification patterns recognized, came a multitonal voice. Neela of the Concordance, and fragmented pattern detected. Partial harmony of Valan identified within human matrix. Sentinel Dozan, Neela acknowledged. We seek sanctuary and completion. Approach granted. The sanctuary recognizes your harmonic right. They docked at a crystalline aperture that opened, like an iris. Inside, the atmosphere shimmered with motes of light that responded to their presence, clustering around Tarek with apparent curiosity. A figure emerged from the central chamber, towering and translucent, its form composed of overlapping, geometric patterns in constant motion. Sentinel Dozan, ancient guardian of the harmonic neutrality. The disruption in universal harmony has been felt across 17 frequency planes, Dozan intoned, its voice resonating from everywhere at once. The Directorate moves against established accords. They fear what we discovered, Neela explained. The unified frequency that allows consciousness to directly interface with reality's fundamental patterns. Dozan's attention shifted to Tarek, geometric patterns swirling faster. This vessel contains 2 harmonic signatures in unstable configuration. Dangerous, potentially catastrophic. Tarek stepped forward, wincing as another wave of dissonance rippled through him. I am both Tarek Mercer and Valen of the 7th Order. My restoration was interrupted. If the configuration remains unstable, dissolution is inevitable, Dozan stated. Complete restoration or complete reversion is required. We seek the resonance chamber, Neela said, to complete what was begun. Dozan's form pulsed with what might have been concern. The Directorate's harmonic enforcers have breached the outer defensive perimeter. They come under diplomatic pretense but with destructive intent. A view screen materialized, showing 3 Directorate vessels approaching the sanctuary. Leading them was a figure Tarek instantly recognized from his restored memories, Arch-Harmonist Javid, the Directorate's most feared enforcer. Impossible, Neela whispered. No one violates the sanctuary's neutrality. Desperate times breed desperate actions, Dozan responded. The Directorate claims you have weaponized harmonic resonance, a violation of the Prime Accord. Tarek laughed, bitterly. Our crime wasn't weaponizing harmony. It was discovering that their control over reality's frequencies isn't absolute. Dozan considered this. You may access the inner chamber. I will maintain diplomatic protocols with the Directorate representatives. You have until the formal audience concludes. The Sentinel glided away, leaving Tarek and Neela to hurry deeper into the sanctuary. They passed through corridors that seemed to respond to their combined presence, opening pathways that Tarek somehow knew wouldn't be visible to others. The inner chamber was a perfect sphere, its interior surface inscribed with every harmonic equation ever discovered. At its center floated a crystalline structure resembling a double helix, pulsing with multicolored light. The resonance key, Neela said, approaching it reverently. With this, we can complete your restoration and achieve perfect harmonic alignment. Once more. Tarek hesitated. And then what? Even if I fully become Valen again, the Directorate won't stop hunting us. Once we achieve true resonance, we can access the unified frequency. Neela took his hands. We can rewrite the harmonic patterns of reality itself, create a sanctuary beyond the Directorate's reach, or we could do what they fear most. Tarek suggested, an idea forming from the confluence of his human ingenuity and harmonic knowledge. Share the unified frequency with all conscious beings. Neela's eyes widened. That would end the Directorate's monopoly on reality manipulation. It would transform the nature of existence itself. Exactly. Tarek stepped toward the resonance key. Why should the fundamental harmonies of reality be controlled by a select few? Before Neela could respond, the chamber trembled. Through the walls they could hear Dojan's voice raised in formal protest and another voice, colder, precisely modulated, responding with thinly veiled threats. Javid has never been one for diplomacy, Neela said grimly. We must hurry. She guided Tarek to stand before the resonance key. This will be painful. Your human form was never meant to channel such energies. Will I still retain my human self? My memories as Tarek? If we succeed, you will be both, fully integrated rather than fragmented. Neela's expression softened. The man I found on Europa, and the harmonic I loved across dimensions. One complete being. The chamber doors sealed as distant alarms echoed. Through the sanctuary, the diplomatic facade had broken down. The Directorate was coming. Now, Neela urged, placing Tarek's hands on the resonance key. As their fingers touched the crystal, it blazed with light. Energy surged through Tarek, excruciating in its intensity but exhilarating in its purpose. He felt his consciousness expanding, human limitations falling away as his true nature reasserted itself. Memories, abilities, and awareness that had been locked away flooded back, not overriding his human identity but merging with it, creating something greater than either had been alone. Across from him, Neela began to glow with inner light, her form becoming more radiant as their harmonics aligned. Between them, the resonance key spun faster, generating a field of pure harmonic potential. I remember everything now, Tarek whispered, his voice carrying undertones that vibrated through multiple dimensions. Our discovery. Our star. Neela smiled, tears of luminescent silver tracking down her cheeks. The unified frequency, the pattern that binds all reality. As their resonance reached perfect harmony, the chamber around them seemed to dissolve, revealing the cosmic tapestry in its raw form, infinitely complex patterns of vibration that constituted existence itself. Together, their consciousnesses reached toward these patterns, preparing to introduce a new frequency that would forever change the nature of reality. But in that moment of perfect clarity and power, the chamber doors exploded inward. Arch-harmonist Javid stood in the threshold, his form encased in armor designed to disrupt harmonic fields. Step away from the key, he commanded, his voice cutting through their resonance. What you attempt is forbidden for good reason. The unified frequency and unprepared minds would tear reality apart. Tarek and Neela remained connected to the key, their joined consciousness now powerful enough to perceive Javid's fear beneath his authoritarian exterior. You don't fear chaos, Tarek replied, speaking with the wisdom of both his selves. You fear losing control. The choice isn't yours to make. Javid raised a harmonic disruptor. Not for all conscious beings across all realities. As the disruptor powered up, Tarek and Neela exchanged a look of perfect understanding. In that moment they made their decision, one that would resonate across the cosmos and alter the very fabric of existence. The resonance key flared between them, and the universe held its breath. Beyond the seventh nebula, the resonance key pulsed between them, a nexus of pure potential as Javid's harmonic disruptor discharged. Time seemed to stretch and compress simultaneously, a side effect of conflicting harmonic fields colliding. In that suspended moment, Tarek and Neela made their choice. Instead of broadcasting the unified frequency to all conscious beings as planned, they directed its power inward, creating a closed harmonic loop between themselves and the key. There, joined consciousness expanded exponentially, transcending the physical limitations of the chamber. Javid's disruptor beam struck the protective field they'd created, fracturing around it like light through a prism. The energy rebounded, sending the arch-harmonist staggering backward as the chamber walls began to crack under the strain of containing such powerful harmonics. "What have you done?" Javid demanded, his carefully modulated voice breaking with genuine fear. Tarek, now fully integrated as both human and harmonic, answered with calm certainty. "We've chosen a third path, neither domination nor revolution. We are becoming the unified frequency," Neela added, her form starting to dissolve into patterns of light that intertwined with Tarek's. Sentinel Dojan appeared behind Javid, its geometric form undulating with agitation. "The harmonic balance is shifting. This sanctuary cannot contain what you are becoming." Tarek felt it too. Their combined consciousness was expanding beyond physical constraints, perceiving multiple realities simultaneously. He could see the branching timelines where he remained only human, where he fully embraced being Valan, and countless variations between. "Impossible," Javid whispered, witnessing their transformation. The Directorate calculated all potential harmonic configurations. This outcome was never predicted, because your equations never accounted for one variable, Tarek replied, his voice resonating across multiple frequency planes. "Love isn't just an emotion. It's a harmonic state that transcends your mathematical models." The resonance key between them began to collapse inward, drawing their physical forms with it. Not into destruction, but into a new state of existence, beyond conventional matter. "Stop this," Javid commanded, desperation evident as he fired the disruptor again. "You'll tear a hole in the fabric of reality." Neela's laugh echoed like crystal bells. "Not a tear, a door." As their physical forms continued merging with the collapsing resonance key, Tarek extended his awareness toward Dojhan. "We entrust you with this knowledge. Harmony was never meant to be controlled, only conducted. The Sentinel's geometric pattern stilled in what might have been understanding. And the balance? We'll find a new equilibrium," Tarek promised, "one that allows for growth rather than stagnation." The chamber walls were disintegrating now, harmonic energy spiraling outward in concentric waves that rewrote the physics of the sanctuary around them. Yet instead of destruction, each wave left transformation in its wake, crystalline structures blossoming with new patterns, more complex and beautiful than before. Javid backed away, his disruptor useless against what was unfolding. "The Directorate will never allow this. We'll find a way to undo whatever you're becoming." "Your paradigm is already ending," Neela said gently. "Feel the harmonics changing around you. The unified frequency isn't something to be wielded as a weapon or hoarded as a treasure. It's a state of being." As their physical forms continued dissolving into pure harmonic energy, Tarek extended his consciousness toward the stars beyond the sanctuary, particularly to a small blue planet orbiting an unremarkable yellow star. Europa. Station 7 was never just a research outpost, he realized aloud. It was built over the exact spot where a fragment of the original resonance key landed centuries ago. My assignment there wasn't exile. It was an unconscious pilgrimage. Guided by harmonics that even the Directorate couldn't erase, Neela confirmed, her consciousness now so thoroughly entwined with his that their thoughts flowed as one. The final stage of their transformation began as the collapsed resonance key contracted to a singularity of pure harmonic potential. Around them, reality itself seemed to hold its breath. "What we become now exists beyond the Directorate's reach," Tarek said, addressing both Javid and Dozan, "neither controlling reality nor unleashing chaos upon it. We become our star," Neela finished, "a harmonic beacon for those ready to perceive it." With those words, the singularity collapsed completely, and where Tarek and Neela had stood, a new form of existence blossomed, neither matter nor energy as conventionally understood, but pure consciousness expressed as harmonic pattern. Javed fell to his knees, his carefully constructed worldview shattered by what he'd witnessed. What have they become? Dozon's geometric form expanded slightly, vibrating with what might have been awe. Something the directorate's harmonics never predicted. A conscious resonance point. A living star. The phenomenon that had been Tariq and Neela expanded outward, not destructively but transformatively. As it passed through the sanctuary's remains, shattered crystals reformed into more complex configurations. The damaged vessels outside were not destroyed but reconfigured, their harmonic weapons transmuted into instruments of perception. Javed watched in disbelief as his own harmonic armor began to resonate with the new frequency, its restrictive technologies, dissolving to reveal the natural harmonic capabilities he'd suppressed for so long. The Directorate will declare this an act of war, he whispered, even as his own consciousness began responding to the new harmonic reality surrounding him. Perhaps, Dozon replied, or perhaps they will finally understand that the universe's song was never theirs to control. The conscious star that Tariq and Neela had become continued its expansion, not to dominate, but to illuminate. As it spread throughout the Pleiades cluster, it touched the consciousness of countless beings across dozens of worlds, not forcing change upon them but offering a new perspective, a harmonic awareness that had always existed beneath the surface of reality. Some, like Javed, resisted initially before surrendering to the beauty of what they perceived. Others embraced it immediately, their own harmonic potential awakening in response. The unified frequency wasn't imposed upon them, but invited into recognition, like remembering a song long forgotten. Within the heart of this living star, Tariq and Neela existed, in perfect harmonic union, neither human nor harmonic but something new. Their individualities remained intact while simultaneously experiencing complete oneness, a paradox possible only in this transcendent state. They perceived reality across all its frequencies simultaneously, past, present, and potential futures, unfolding in harmonic patterns. They watched as the ripples of their transformation spread across the cosmos, subtly altering the song of existence. The Directorate's rigid control began to dissolve not through conflict, but through transcendence. As beings throughout the galaxy awakened to their own harmonic potential, the artificial hierarchies that had maintained power for millennia became increasingly irrelevant. And on a small research station on Europa, a data crystal containing Tariq, Mercer's astronomical observations began to emit a subtle resonance, calling to those with the capacity to hear it. A new generation of harmonic explorers would eventually discover this beacon, the breadcrumb trail leading to understanding what had transpired among the stars. The conscious star that was Tariq and Neela continued to expand its awareness, exploring the infinite harmonies of existence. They had not ended the old order through destruction, but had simply introduced a new song, one powerful enough to transform the cosmos note by note, consciousness by consciousness. Within their unified being, the memories of a human astronomer and an alien harmonist remained, the unique perspectives that had allowed them to perceive what others could not. Their love, once erased from reality itself, now existed as a fundamental frequency in the cosmic symphony. And across the vastness of space, those with the sensitivity to perceive it could sometimes glimpse a new star unlike any other, not formed of hydrogen and helium, but of conscious harmony, not burning through nuclear fusion but illuminating through resonance. A star born not from the death of what came before, but from the transcendence of what could be. A star that sang with two voices in perfect harmony, inviting the universe to join its eternal song.